Patty? Are you ready?
I want Sophatic to autograph mine.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting for January 8th, 2013. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Williams.
Here.
Riley.
Here.
Fowler.
Here.
Anderson.
Present.
Hanson.
Present.
Jarvis.
Here.
Sedlacek.
Here.
Markham.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum for Committee of the Whole. Next item on the agenda is discussion and recommendation to staff regarding bulk garbage collection for 2013. And tonight we have with us Bill Immig, Department of Public Works. Bill, why don't you give us a summary, please?
We talked about this at the Public Works Utility meeting on December 11th, and you all have a copy of this, and I passed this out that night to everybody, so you kind of knew, because the committee won't feel comfortable making a decision that night because they just got the information. But with the new garbage contract, the bulky garbage collection at the curbside has gone away. So we have to decide if we want to do anything with the city. The contract now says that they will pick up 10 33-gallon plastic bags per week. Bulky items are things like mattresses, couches, chairs, tables, desk lamps. There's a list there. One option would be to do nothing. Sheboygan and Sheboygan Falls, Random Lake do this. There is a transfer station in Sheboygan where people can take things, and it costs, I believe, $30 to dump something off your car. If you had a couch, it's going to cost you a minimum of $30 to get rid of it. Option two would be for the city to provide a drop-off site someplace in the city, probably at the city garage. That would be having a great big dumpster there. And that is what Keel does. Keel does that kind of like we do our yard waste from April until November during the non-winter months. And that costs Keel about $12,500 per year to do that. So if you took the size of Keel and multiplied it times the size of Plymouth, you could see how we're going to get to around $30,000 per year. If we wanted to have another option would be to have a drop-off twice a year where people could just hold on to their items until, and we could do it in May and maybe in October or November. And people could bring their things down. It'd be the same concept of the 30-yard roll-off box. But some people are going to not want to hang on to their stuff, so they're going to get rid of their stuff some other way. So instead of $30,000, I'm estimating we might save 20%. So it might cost us $25,000 per year. If we wanted to charge people, that's option 3B. We could do it twice, have the drop-off twice a year, but charge a $10 fee for each item. And sell a sticker here at City Hall that you would put on the item, and then when that date comes, you can bring your item down to the garage. If it's got the sticker on it, you can throw it in the dumpster. And I'm guessing we could generate $10,000 and reduce the cost from $25,000 per year to maybe $15,000 per year. And then I...
Clarify what he means is offset, it would be $25,000 that it would cost.
Yes.
Potentially, but we'd create $10,000 in revenue, so it would reduce our out-of-pocket cost maybe to $15,000.
So that's what we looked at December 11th. One thing that has popped up since December 11th is that actually it's one of our employees, David Kostelek, is planning on going into the bulky waste business. And he'll come to your house and pick up your item for a fee. We're not quite sure where he's going. He owns some land on the corner of Locke Street and Macomb, I believe it is, over that neighborhood by the railroad tracks. And he'd like to put some dumpsters there. And he'd come pick up your couch or whatever it is you have, and he'd throw it in the dumpster there and cycle the dumpsters through there.
Just
Which is a good thing, you know, it gives people an option.
comment on that, though, is there would be a zoning issue that would need to be reviewed, and
Yes, we're not
and
quite
it
sure
probably
whether they
would be
can.
unlikely that could actually be done in that location. But obviously, he's interested in
He's very
doing this
interested in doing
service,
this.
providing this service.
So, but all the same, it's in your hands now, you know, what direction you think we should take on this.
I don't know if we want to allow the chair of the committee to comment, or Jackie, if you had some comments, but I believe, if I remember correctly, the discussion at the committee level focused on option 1 and option 3B was the two primary alternatives that the committee was looking at.
That was my next question, and Committee Chair Jarvis, maybe you want to make a comment after Brian is finished?
Oh, I don't, that's all.
Okay, and then we'll open it up for other comments, but it is something that over the winter we won't have a problem with, but they'll start to show up when the snow melts in the spring, so we need to be
Well,
due diligent
people
about
are
this.
asking already.
Yep.
I've seen some chairs already out on the curb, and the garbage company has, I mean, now they're called Advanced Disposal, not Veolia, but Advanced, has put a sticker on it saying that they won't pick it up.
Yeah,
So, it's not gonna go away.
okay. Alderperson Jarvis.
I think that the summary was what we discussed in committee, and I think that we felt that if we would have had more time in committee, we probably would have come to a consensus of option 1 or option 3B to come forward to the council, but instead we just had a motion to bring it to a committee of the whole. So, that's all. Thanks.
Any other comments? Alderman Hanson.
Well, I've been doing some investigating on the garbage, and I've talked to about 20 people. And some people said, well, why didn't you just continue with it and tack $10 on to the fee? Make it $35 or $34 and continue as you were doing. And I said, well, I don't know if that would cover the amount or not, but I had a number of people did say that aspect of it. But it might have, I didn't know what the fee would be, so I couldn't tell them the amount on it, but there was quite a bit of discussion, and everyone that I talked to didn't know what the rules were. They didn't know what's going on. And I think we need to, as a utilities committee, make sure that something's sent out when we decide on which one it is in here, that people know, because they didn't know about the 10 bags. They kind of knew that stuff wasn't being picked up, they didn't know when. So I think it's our responsibility to make sure we get something, I know the review was published, some particular things like that on it, but I think it's important that we get something out to them to tell them what's going on, because that was one of the things that, I talked to Bill Barbier, and he said, I don't know what's going on, so he was one of the persons that I talked to, so, and they were talking about that, can the city pick the stuff up and take it down? And I'm going, down to the city garage. They had all sorts of different ideas, and they talked about if you buy this, what's that fee called? The tipping fee, well, can't we get it down at the garage itself? Because if I work from 7, or go to work at 7 and get home by 4:30, how am I gonna get the particular ticket to put my stuff down there? And if I forget that day, well, then I have to wait till October to bring the stuff down. That was, some of the comments they gave. And then, one question, they said also, if this $15,000 that, we're gonna have to cover, where's that money coming from? And I suggested that the $24 that we're paying per home this year isn't gonna be the total cost, that we have some money built in there to some extent to maybe cover the cost. And their general consensus was we need to do something, and they were leaning toward option 3B. That was the option. They were leaning towards, and paying the $10 per unit. They were thinking, well, what if you have, 50 or 10 things? Well, can we get a break at only paying $50 in for it instead of paying $10 for each item that Bill's kind of suggested on here? So there's a lot of discussion on that, but I think it's very important that we give something out to them so they know what the regulations are and that they're aware of what can be picked up and what can't be picked up and how it's done.
Thank you. Alderperson Jarvis.
I think if you look at option 1 or option 3B, it boils down to whether you want to pay more to provide a service and charge that back to to the citizens, either by a service charge or incorporated into some form of the tax levy or onto the additional fee that was approved. Or you look at option 1 and decide that we aren't going to provide that extra bulky service. And given that there is somebody who is looking at this as an entrepreneurial possibility, I'm leaning more towards trying option 1, seeing if the private sector can fill in this gap. And if it doesn't work out, then maybe we reassess next year and look at providing the service through the city. That would be my suggestion right now.
Any other comments? Alderman Anderson.
I'm leaning towards option 3B also. For one thing, at $10 or whatever it comes to at the end of the year, that pays for part of our bins. Those bins are not gonna be cheap. And if we do it twice a year, we only have to get rid of the bins twice.
Any other comments? Alderman Hanson.
There's also discussion that if you come out on a Saturday and there's a long line, how do you get the stuff, you might have to go do something else, how are you gonna get the stuff dropped off there on it? And the consensus basically came out to be that they were looking towards item 3B as a courtesy this year and see what takes place, because there's stuff that has been put out by the road already, and, people are not necessarily aware of that particular aspect. What if you have to do it, what if the one we do in May is so booked up that, and we do it in October, so maybe we could do it 3 times a year, but those are some things that the unknowns we don't know about. So I would urge us to take a look at option 3B.
Bill, I guess a question I would have for you that kind of came up with some of the comments. If people are in line on Saturday for the drop-off, when the clock strikes that hour, we're not gonna close the gate and send people home. I would assume, if they're in line, keep coming until the last one is done, because, well, exactly, so I mean, it's logistics, and if we did do 3B, and there is an entrepreneur out there that wants to, do it on his own in addition to that, more power to him. But the general public is still gonna look for some service from the city or signal or information, and it is kind of a trial thing. Alderman Markham.
So 3B option was one single day twice a year, or would it be a one single day? I mean, was there discussion about it being, a Monday through a Saturday kind of thing twice a year, where the people that couldn't get down there on Saturday could do it Thursday night or Tuesday night?
We haven't, it's open
Oh, yeah,
for
all right.
discussion. The idea would be a Saturday, similar to the hazardous waste tank disposal.
All right.
I mean, if we want to do it on a Thursday night, Saturday, we can do that.
Get enough requests to do it. Alderperson Barron.
Yes, I just want to point out that under option 1, Sheboygan Falls, Random Lake do not provide that service, and people are finding ways to get rid of their things adequately. with option 3B, we're gonna have to come up with some extra funds to support this service, and I'm not comfortable, I don't know if anybody has proposed any options as to where that's going to come from, but I just think we should try to do option 1 first, and if we have, significant complaints and problems, then we could revert to option 3B in year 2.
Does anybody have any experience with the Payne Avenue drop-off site in Sheboygan? Is that convenient, or is it easy? Is it expensive?
I've taken stuff there and you're in and out in 10 minutes. I mean, it's not hard, it's just that it's 16 miles one way.
Right.
That's the only hard part about it. And not everybody has the vehicle to take a couch, or a mattress, or
They closed it.
whatever.
You do it in
I-
Plymouth.
you know, And maybe entrepreneur is gonna solve that one-time problem as well. And maybe the stores, will, charge $10 to take away the old when they bring the new or whatever too. I mean, stores are gonna be innovative to accommodate, the community that they serve. Not speaking for any of them, but I would get out there and see what I could do in order to do it if I was a store owner. Alderman Williams.
When I lived in Sheboygan and had to make a move, I had a couch and a chair and some other items. And at that time, I haven't looked at our local phone book, but at that time, I had no problem in finding individuals in the phone book that provided that service. And I know I paid more than $10 or whatever, but the service was taken, they came, I paid them, they took everything I wanted, and hopefully got rid of it in a good manner and didn't put it
Properly.
along the highway somewhere. Then my other question would be to Brian. Bill, with 3B is projecting a possible, let's see, what loss of revenue or, additional cost. How does that fit into your budget plans and things that we've already discussed? Where would that money come from?
Well, in the sanitation and garbage budget, there was, as a line item, $10,000 set aside for bulk items, so that is part of the budget.
Okay.
Now, that was just a guesstimate at the time, to just set something aside. I think if it was 15,000, I don't think it would be an issue to cover the additional 5,000 or $15,000. But you have to remember that the fee structure is that the fees go up over the next several years. And so what's gonna happen, is eventually, by providing this as a service, it's gonna make the $24 fee increase that much more over time. And for the first year, it's not gonna matter. But eventually, we're incorporating this as a specific service into the fee structure, and we're saying we're gonna provide this as a service. And so, most likely that will, have an impact on the fee amount. You may recall that, the fee goes up, from Veolia, or what is it now? Advanced, in year 2. And we said, well, we can probably not pass on an increase in year 2, and absorb it and not have to change that $24 fee, at least for 1 year. Depending on what the cost of this actually is, that may not be the case if we provide this as a service, because I don't think we know for sure what exactly it's gonna cost us. This is just ballpark estimates that, Bill's basing on what Keel is paying and so forth. So, I'm not concerned about the $15,000 in year 1, but realize that in year 5 and in the future, once you include that, that'll be part of the official fee structure.
No free lunch.
And after you have a 2 or 3 year basis to determine what that's gonna cost, well, then, it's easier to build that into the fee structure, because right now, we don't know. But the other thing I just wanted to point out, just to clarify, for the general public as well as for the council, the bulk items, Veolia basically said that will not be in the new contract, so they eliminated and said we won't provide that as a service. So we did not have the option of adding that into the contract. That was not an option that we
Yeah,
had,
that-
which
that
is
was
why
an
we're
add-on.
here
Okay.
Right from the
tonight.
get-go, correct. Alderperson Jarvis?
Regarding that $10,000 that you mentioned, that was part of that line item, that is being funded through the special fee.
Correct.
So I would also like to add that that's probably not fair to everybody who's putting in the $24, that extra amount of money that's in that pot that's generated from the $24 per property, they would be funding other people's bulky, they would be subsidizing the bulky pickup. So I don't necessarily think that that's fair to everybody either.
Alderman Hanson?
That's a potential, you don't know what you're gonna have for bulky stuff put out. Some people don't put stuff out ever, maybe, but a lot of people do put the stuff out. So it's, I don't know, we can always try option B this year and say, we're not gonna do it anymore. It's too cost prohibitive. We can, so I still lean towards the option 3B, as a courtesy thing this particular year and find out what it does cost us. That would be my suggestion on it. And I don't really like the idea that we have to raise, $5, $10 more next year for it. So that's one of those options we can take a look at, the garbage fee.
Yeah,
Is
I just,
this item on the agenda tonight?
no, not as an official action.
As an official action item, so
What
at this point, you're looking for
We're trying to get
recommendation.
feedback from the council as to what option you guys think you'd like to see the
Since-
city move into.
Since one more
Can I-
comment?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just want to make one more comment, is that one thing is if you're concerned about only having one day twice a year, maybe if we have this organized soon enough, we'd be able to have the stickers printed up. And if we structured it so that there'd be some kind of incentive to, let's say, buy your sticker before the end of May, then it's cheaper. And then you'd have an idea as to how many stickers you're selling and kind of have an idea of how many bulky items we're anticipating. And I'm guessing we can probably get a sense of how many bulky items can maybe go in the bins, and then go from there as to whether we need it to be 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. If we only sell, 25 stickers, well, we don't need to have this for 4 days. So, just a thought.
As a learning curve, it's going to take a little time to get up to speed.
One of the comments was, could we sell the sticker the day of the drop-off? And it's a maybe. I just get concerned about having the money and the people who will be doing this. I mean, because it could be a lot of money. I feel comfortable when people just come to City Hall, pay their money for the clerk's office, and you understand, I mean, it's a possibility that we could, but I like the idea of that they pre-purchase it, and then, as Brian said, then we'll have an idea of, we'll know how many.
What
items are
volume
out there.
dumpster to have on site and so on, yeah. Alderman Hanson?
Another suggestion, that possibly, if you buy the sticker, you pay $10 for it, or you get it for $9, if you buy it ahead of time, you pay $12, you get it at the gate. That'd be, there's many things to take a look at it, and I guess we don't have the answers on this, but
Yeah.
my thought is that 3B would be out to go this year.
We'll start with Alderman Hanson and see what our consensus is. 3B, Alderperson Jarvis,
Option 1.
okay. Alderman Riley,
I'd like to try 3B.
3B, Alderman Anderson,
3B.
3B, Alderman Fowler,
Option 1.
1, Alderman Seslacek,
3B.
3B, Alderman Markham,
3B.
3B, Alderman Williams.
Leaning towards 1.
We'll make that a half and a half. And,
doesn't matter
and three,
in the end.
and 3B has it by the,
And option one, and what is
by a-
option one?
and option 1 is nothing, but we still encourage entrepreneurship.
Do nothing on it, okay.
So with that, obviously you have some checking to do and some analysis to do. I have a problem of having collection of proceeds down at the dump site. And I concur with you, Bill, on that. I think we can find some way to handle the purchase of stickers at whatever place, time, and so on, from the clerk's office, and they can get put in the mail or whatever the case is, but I really don't like cash being down at the dump site. I think we're asking for confusion, and that isn't necessarily a good thing. So that would be my only comment at the dump site for 3B. Any other comments? Thank you very much. We'll look forward to you bringing back some sort of proposal for the council to approve in the next month or so that by spring, certainly, we, as Alderman Hanson said, we notify the public about the policy in force and get it out there in different venues in order to give them plenty of time to make preparations. So with that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn until 8 o'clock.
So moved, Alder Anderson.